Spike with Dying Scene, and I'm here with
Dave from Mustard Plug.
I'm Buck from the Toasters. What's going on?
We're here in Garden Grove for the second Ska Smackdown. Who do you think's gonna win?
One. Proud ones.
We're both winners. Only winners, no losers. I wouldn't hurt to hear on day two.
How did you rack up this lineup today?
We've known Half Past Two for a bit. Goodwin Club, I played with them in San Diego last year.
Yeah.
In fact, I turned them on to Dave Romano.
Yeah. They actually played our show. We played a year ago. We played that.
So do either people that Master Club knows or the Toasters knows. It's like, you could have been La Familia.
We've done like the West Coast tour in like January, February, going back for like the last decade or something like that. And this is actually the second time we've done it. So we always try to get like another bigger band, co-headliner type band to do it with us. And we actually did the Toasters like right before COVID, like 2020. And that was an epic tour. And we were do it again. And we always have a blast with Toasters, like one of our favorite bands. I mean, Toasters were like one of the very first ska bands I ever saw, and always been inspirational. So
I first met Dave at the Club Soda.
Yeah.
He's a little skin in 1989.
Right. Yeah.
With the Busters.
The Busters.
Yeah. Showed up. He has long hair and everything.
Yeah, I did.
This is good. You doing the radio?
Yeah, I did the radio show. Yeah, I was like music director at my college radio station, right? And I was like into ska, and so I met you there. And then back in the day, we used to have like the CMJ music marathons in New York City, right? I don't even remember this, but like I had called you because I thought Moon Records was this huge thing, right? And I'm just like, hey, can we get some records?
Do you have a little shop?
Yeah. Seriously, it was amazing. Like, I'm kind of thinking some records for the radio station. He's like, well, and we talked about I was going to be in New York like in a week. I came by. You're like, yeah, just come by this address. So I came by the address. I'm like this 19-year-old kid walking around Manhattan, whatever, Lower East Side or wherever it is. And I found it. I'm like, that's just someone's apartment. You had me come to your apartment. I remember that. Because your wife was there, and you just had like a bookcase of records. It's like, yeah, here, take this one and take this one. It was like the most amazing thing ever. I remember we played, I think, a couple shows at Rick's. You remember Rick's?
Rick's Cafe.
Rick's Cafe. There was Lansing, there's one in Kalamazoo. I think we did both of those. And that was probably like 92 or something like that.
Early 90s.
Yeah. And back when he had like Moon Records going, he was one of the first people to really latch onto the song Mr. Smiling. He's like, oh yeah, this is great. We have to put this on the comp. It was like this, Scum Again comp. Yeah. And that was like...
That was a great comp. It's amazing how many people I've talked to said that those comps were kind of what really provided them a portal to get into ska music in the first place. So those things definitely worked. They were like compilations with like 2 or 3 discs with like 60 bands on there. Pretty epic.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, because like you could buy like this one compilation and at least know one song from every ska band in the United States, pretty much. It was like, yeah, pick these songs.
I think anybody with anything.
Yeah, and the fact that you took the care to like kind of pick the best songs from each band. That's like, because a lot of people that are constantly just like, yeah, send me whatever you have. And it's just like, it can be really uneven. But that one was so good because you actually put the time to pick some of the very best songs.
Yeah, we could basically pick what we wanted.
Yeah.
And there wasn't really anybody doing comps at that time. They got to the point where compilations got like too much.
Yeah.
But that was fun. Pretty epic. I think there were 3 episodes, and we finally went up to 3 discs on Sam and Deadly 4. That's great. We get up earlier in the morning, we work harder on the East Coast. Well, I like coming out here because the weather's nice. SoCal's always had like a really good ska scene, even back in the day. I mean, we played our first show in California in 1987 at the Mabuhay Gardens, which was like a Filipino restaurant in San Francisco. Then at night, it wasn't a restaurant anymore. They had a club there.
Yeah.
And it was like a soul club. So that was almost 40 years ago. The ska epicenter kind of moves around. So I mean, Florida was really good for a second. Chicago's always had a big scene. But it tends to move around. But like now, anywhere you go, there's a ska band. And it didn't always used to be like that. I think the bands on the West Coast, to a large extent, have been a lot more traditional, like bands like Hip Cat and C-Spot, Ocean's 11, or bands like that. I think the bands on the East Coast had a bit more of like a hardcore edge. I mean, certainly that was the case in New York, because when we were coming up, we were rehearsing in the same studio as the Bad Brains, Murphy's Law, and the Cro-Mags, for example. So there was a big crossover there. People on the East Coast tend to be a little bit more aggressive because that's how our lifestyle is. Trying to watch out. If you look back at where ska music came from in the early 60s, it was involved with the Jamaicans getting their independence from hundreds of years of British colonial rule. So that music was the backdrop of that. And then in England in the 70s, there was the whole two-tone movement, which was really like an anti-racist movement, featured around all the bands on the two-tone label, which is like black guys and white guys playing together. I think a certain part of that has been kind of lost in the States, but there are bands who really have a political voice, and who, you definitely need a lot more of that these days with all the nonsense going on.
It's always kind of crazy when you have someone like, especially people online or whatever, who are like keep your politics out of your music, blah blah. I'm like, you have no idea what ska is or its history or anything.
Keep your party and frat boy nonsense
Right,
out of our social political scene. Yeah, ska music has always been like a social political thing. In my mind, there should be more of that, not less. People really listen to music is one thing that most people can agree on, whether you agree with people politically or not. And so hopefully we can sway some of the lug nuts to come over to our side of the fence. If I see a band I like or hear, I just try to take them on tour or hook them up some gaps. That's the best way to do it. Because, I mean, you can't send records to radio stations anymore, and Spotify kind of sucks. So the way really to get people to come and see a band that you like is to put them on stage for you. I'd point towards the Bad Times Records phenomenon, which is a whole new way of approaching ska music. It's a lot more punk. To my mind, a little less ska, but equally so with what happened with like ska punk in the late 90s. That was a bit of a curveball. Nobody really saw that coming. And in fact, I turned down the Boss Tones and Rancid for the records. So that's those periods.
I can't really speak to the punk scene because I'm not as hip to it as I used to. I still love punk music. I just don't like the new bands. Besides, like, unless they're like hyper local, like Rodeo Boys or have a breakout band out of Michigan. But the ska scene, it's like being able to tour and stuff. You see all these new bands, and that's kind of what I focus on as far as learning about new bands. Like Bucket says, you try to help them out. It is a family. That's the cool thing about ska music. It's always had a really cool community about it. And I mean, that's one of the things that like attracted me to ska in the early 90s is because like I had come from the ashes of like Midwest hardcore. That was like the 80s. I was going to all these hardcore punk shows because that's what was there, right? And that whole scene kind of fell apart. But like back in the day, they would all trade ideas like, okay, yeah, Black Flag tells Minor Threat to go play this place because they've been there, and they all communicated. They're all kind of friends and network and that sort of thing. And then, like I said, that scene really fell apart in the late 80s. But the ska scene was like this new, fresh breath of air. And I was really attracted to it because it did have the politics to it, which were kind of going away from the hardcore scene. And it was danceable and fun and a lot of other reasons. But one of the things that attracted me is that it is like a network, a family. And that stayed in a lot of ways. There's like, as far as like the ska underground, we all know each other. And
yeah, I think you'll find that a lot of the bands that have been around for a long time are really amenable to finding younger startup bands and help them out, taking them on tour, and give them advice.
Yeah,
being an uncle to them. The Toasters always done that, and I just think it's one of the things that's endemic in the scene.
Yeah.
That makes it a little bit strict. It's not every man for the top.
Yeah. And Buck can take a lot of credit for that. He took us when we were a little band, helped us out, and he's been sort of like a role model in that way. He's responsible for a lot of this third wave thing and the whole philosophy behind it. So, it's like he helped us out and we help other bands out now that we're a little bit bigger or whatever. And so it's kind of injected that into the scene.
So it's kind of like we really just made it into like a do-it-yourself thing, because it came pretty obvious to me early on that the music business and the major labels weren't interested at all in what we were doing, what we were playing. I mean, they told me it was circus music when I went to CBS Records in New York. And so I realized that if we want to do this, we're going to have to do it ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we just created a model of going on the road and doing your own merch and marketing yourself. And that's been built up over the years. So now everybody's doing it. You have to play as many gigs as you possibly can.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes sense. Play as many gigs as you possibly can, because your music now is not worth anything. It's all been kind of diluted by Spotify and P2P sharing and stuff. So you can't make any money there, but you have to put everything into your live performances and your shows and network with people like Dave and like Lee and other people like that, and make it work by using those kind of resources. It was true in the 80s, and it's still true now. If people want to come to our website, it's www.thetoasters.band, but come and see the Toasters and Mustard Plug at a live show. That's the best way to do it.
We just enjoy it. That's the main thing. It's still fun. I love music and basically just do it because we love it.